Chapter 7. Not long after, Sister Jane retired to bed, leaving the young maids alone, side by side, reclining against the coolness of the wall stones. Without turning her head, Salome remarked,
"Well, it wasn't so bad, was it?"
After a moment of silence, Marianne said,
"It was nice, seeing the Dibbons happy."
Her voice bore an odd, wistful note.
"What did the sister mean about a kill?"
Marianne began to toy with the sleeves of her pinafore.
I wasn't aught but a Dibbon then, so I don't remember much. Mostly what the sister told me. There was a youngish weasel, about my age, who called himself a kill. Told the abbess he was starving, and she let him in. But no sooner did he set foot into the abbey than he started up thieving. The abbess never caught him red-pawed, but she knew as well as any beast else that he must have been guilty. Still, she said it would be unjust to punish him without evidence. But soon the abbey beasts were grumbling, and the abbess knew she had to take some sort of action. Then one morning, the kill just strode up to the abbess, confessed, and returned the stolen things. He seemed so broken up that the abbess had to give him another chance. And a few days later, they all woke to find the varmint had run off. But he didn't take a bit of silver or anything valuable with him. Leastways, not anything the creatures noticed. It was a Dibbon he took, a little squirrel maid named Fanny. I remember she was a bit older than I was, and the night before Kill took her, he was in charge of putting us to bed. Fanny wouldn't lie down, kept romping and skipping and bouncing about the room, and Kill just stood there, smiling, like it didn't trouble him. Little Fanny had a sister, even younger than herself, a squirrel maid named Marianne. Marianne still lives here, though she's taken to staying all the time in the gatehouse, and hardly eats a bite. She was mighty upset that her big sister got taken away. Never has been the same. Poor little tyke.
About an hour later, Marianne and Salome visited the kitchens, where Friar Jerome had finished the dishwashing and was now sitting beside the fire, enjoying a well-deserved rest. He had had to prepare mountains of food for the festive tables, all the while fretting over the possibility that it would fall to waste, or that too much would be eaten and the abbess would lodge a complaint against him. Which of the two would be worse, he could not be certain. He also had to manage the cellars in the indisposed brother Aaron's stead. Now, catching sight of the two young creatures, the good hedgehog Friar waved a dishcloth that he had been using as a fan.
"Evening, Marianne and Miss Salome. Oh, now don't come with your dancing and whooping and shouting and leaping about. Oh, me poor head feels like a stone, and we have hours of work out of us tomorrow."
"My head would feel just as bad,"
thought Salome,
"if it was full of spikes and needles like a pincushion."
Going over to the friar's side, Marianne embraced him carefully, doing her best to avoid his spines.
You poor old creature, there's no need to cook a new spread every day. We have enough food to last 3 days. It will save us a heap of toil.
Samuel, who was returning with a cauldron that had just been emptied of dishwater, added under his breath,
"Yeah, and it'll save the abbess a lot of preaching about gluttony and extravagance."
The friar heaved himself upright long enough to glare in his direction.
"Don't you dare let me hear you speak a word of disrespect about the abbess of Redwall, lad, or I'll have you polish this kitchen from top to bottom."
Samuel slumped into a chair, giving another one of his under-the-breath sermons about free speech. Friar Jerome yawned.
Well, what do you young'uns need?"
Marianne adopted a studiedly nonchalant manner. She managed to smile.
We only came to ask you if we might have a basket of sweetmeats to take to Marianne.
Friar Jerome stared hard at both young faces, but found nothing but earnestness. After a few moments, his expression softened.
"All right, missy, but mind your manners and be careful."
While Marianne busied herself with the basket, Samuel excused himself and gestured for Salome to follow him out of the kitchens. When Samuel felt certain they had a small amount of privacy, he hissed,
"What in hell's kids are you doing poking about with that woodlander maid, Salome? Trying to bribe some old mousewife who says she could frighten off demons?"
Salome snorted.
I'm just going with Marianne to see some creature who's always shut up in the gatehouse. She ain't no mad beast, just a squirrel maid whose sister got kidnapped when she was a babe.
No sooner had she spoken the words than she cringed, expecting to receive an earful about sticking her snout into crannies that it didn't belong in. Samuel was quiet for a bit. Then he said,
Our sister was kidnapped, huh?
Aye.
Here, Salome dared to glance up into his face.
Samuel?
Samuel gritted his teeth without warning.
Go on, little ninny. Do what you want. Just don't go acting a fool and getting yourself in trouble. If you do, you'll be the one stuck in the mud. Nobody else is gonna get himself stuck along with you, and you'll be lucky if any beast pulls you out.